God still delivers. 5 real stories of faith and power. Swallowed but not forsaken. Jonah and the great fish. Jonah was a prophet who thought he could run from God. When the Lord told him to preach in Nineveh, he boarded a ship going in the opposite direction away from God's calling. But the sea wasn't silent. A violent storm shook the boat. The sailors panicked, throwing cargo overboard. Jonah knew the truth. "It's me. Throw me into the sea, and it will calm." Reluctantly, they obeyed, and the moment he hit the water, the storm stopped. But that wasn't the end. God sent a great fish not to punish, but to preserve. Jonah spent 3 days and nights inside the belly of the fish, surrounded by darkness, seaweed wrapped around his head. From deep within, he cried out to God, and God heard him. The fish spat him out on dry land alive, changed, ready to obey. Jonah preached in Nineveh, and the people turned from their sins. God showed mercy. Even in the darkest, most hopeless places, God hears. Even inside the belly of a fish, God delivers. Story 2. The lions couldn't bite. Daniel in the den. Daniel served God faithfully in a land that didn't. When jealous officials tricked the king into signing a law that banned prayer to anyone but the king, Daniel still prayed 3 times a day, window wide open. He was arrested. The punishment? Death by lions. The king, though fond of Daniel, was forced to obey the law. That night, Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. The stone was rolled, the entrance sealed. But the King of Heaven had the final say. God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths. They didn't roar, they didn't lunge, they sat in silence. At sunrise, the king ran to the den. "Daniel, has your God saved you?" From inside came the voice of a living man. "My God sent his angel. I'm unharmed." Daniel walked out without a scratch. Those who tried to trap him, they were thrown in and the lions didn't hold back. Daniel's story reminds us, when you stand for God, he stands for you. Story 3. Fire on the mountaintop. Elijah versus the prophets of Baal. Israel had turned away from God. They worshipped idols, especially Baal. Elijah, the prophet of the Lord, challenged them. "Let's settle this. You call on Baal, I'll call on the Lord. The God who answers by fire, he is God." The people gathered on Mount Carmel. The 450 prophets of Baal danced, shouted, and even cut themselves from morning to evening. But no fire came. Elijah stepped forward alone. He rebuilt the altar of the Lord. Then he did something strange. He poured water all over it, buckets and buckets, until everything was soaked. Then he prayed. No shouting, no dancing, just a simple prayer. "Let it be known today that you are God." Fire fell from heaven, real, consuming, divine fire. It burned the sacrifice, the stones, the water, everything. The people dropped to their knees. The Lord, he is God. Elijah proved you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You just need God. Story 4. Chains broke at midnight. Paul and Silas in prison. Paul and Silas were beaten and locked in prison for preaching about Jesus. Their backs were bleeding, their feet in stocks, their freedom gone. But at midnight, they didn't complain. They sang, in the darkest part of the night, in the darkest place, they praised God. And then, an earthquake shook the prison. Doors flew open, chains broke, not just theirs, but every prisoner's. The jailer panicked, thinking everyone had escaped. But Paul cried out, "Don't harm yourself. We are still here." That night, the jailer washed their wounds, fed them, and gave his life to Christ along with his whole family. The very prison meant to silence them became a place of salvation. God can use your worst night to save someone else's soul. Story 5. A man who walked on water. Peter's test of faith. It was the middle of the night. The disciples were on a boat in rough waters when they saw someone walking toward them on the sea. They cried out in fear, but it was Jesus. "Take courage. It is I. Don't be afraid." Peter, always bold, said, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come." Jesus said one word, "Come." Peter stepped out of the boat and onto the water. Not ice, not sand, water. He walked. As long as he looked at Jesus, he stood. But when he saw the wind and waves, fear took over. He sank. "Lord, save me," he cried. Immediately, Jesus grabbed his hand. "Why did you doubt?" The storm calmed. Peter was safe. And the other disciples worshipped, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Even when faith fails, Jesus saves. These aren't just stories, they're reminders. From fish bellies to lion dens, from prison cells to stormy seas, God's power shows up when his people trust him. No matter how deep the pit, how strong the storm, or how fierce the fire, he still delivers.